What's up guys, Mizzo Frizzo here, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to set up a 2-weapon system. This system is built off of the back of my weapon system with simulated physics pickups, so if you haven't seen that tutorial already, I highly recommend you check it out because we are building and building on that, and it is becoming quite a robust and expansive system. So I've created 6 different weapon types, which I've got 2 copies of each in front of me here, 3 of which I've classified as secondary and 3 of which I have classified as primary. And if I walk up to a secondary and pick it up, I can also walk over to a primary and pick it up, and if I press 2 it's going to switch back to my secondary, and 1 switch to my primary. And if I walk over to a weapon that I don't already have, it's going to drop whatever's in that slot and pick up the new one like so. So I can, even if I'm holding my secondary for example, walk over to a new primary that I don't already have, and it will drop my old primary and equip the new one. Very nice. Okay, so without further ado, let me show you how to do this. Alrighty guys, now some of you may have noticed that I have re-recorded and re-uploaded this tutorial. That's because the previous upload contained an error, and also I have discovered a way of streamlining our code a little bit. So the first thing we need to do is go into our weapons folder in props, and we're going to create a new enumeration. So I'm just going to duplicate this one and I'm going to rename it enum weapon class. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to scrap this third enumerator, and I'm going to rename these ones primary and secondary. Whoops. Secondary, there we go. Save and close that, and then I'm going to open my BP Weapon Master and then create a new variable, call it weapon class of type enum weapon class that we've just created. Compile and save and close that, and then we need to just check the class defaults of our weapon blueprint. So with my weapons folder selected, I'm going to filter by blueprint class. If you don't have the filter here, just click this little icon, find the filter blueprint class, filter by blueprint class, and then these should be primary by default because that's the first enumerator in the enumeration. So all I need to do is select my secondaries by control clicking my secondaries, and then I'm going to right click and asset actions, edit selection in property matrix. Then over here under default I'm going to change the weapon class of these ones to secondary. You can see these have changed because they need to be saved, so I'm going to hit save all, and I'm just going to double check that they have been changed and the other ones have not. Good. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is find my character's blueprint and open it up, and I am going to undock this, and then in my weapons folder where my BP Weapon Master is, I'm going to drag that onto the details panel, sorry, the components panel in my character's blueprint. So you'll see that that's created a child actor component, BP Weapon Master. I'm going to drag that onto my mesh, and I'm also going to rename it equipped weapon. Like so. Okay, very good. We can create a couple of variables. I'm going to duplicate my current weapon variable, and I'm going to call it current weapons, plural. And I'm going to change it to BP Weapon Master class reference. I'm also going to change it to an array by over here. I can click this little drop down and change it to an array, or I can right click right here and it will change from array to single or single to array. So this one's going to be an array. I'm also going to create the current weapon int variable. If you haven't seen this one before, this is an integer and I'm just going to right click here and make it a single. This is an integer that we set off of our weapon name, which, as you remember, we called integers 0, 1, 2, 3, for the purposes of blending animations in our animation blueprint. So this project doesn't have this variable, but I've just created it now so that I can show you how we set it. And so here's the spawn logic from my other session. I am basically going to delete all of this except for this spawn actor and this little vector addition here. If you're wondering what this pickups location is an input that I've added to my spawn weapon custom event, pickups location of type vector, and what this is, if you look in my weapon pickup master, is just I'm passing through the actor location, get actor location of the pickup item and passing it through so that I can spawn my little pickup. When I drop my weapon, it drops right where the other weapon was, the weapon that I'm picking up, if that makes any sense. So if you're wondering what that is, it's just a little, and I've added 10 on the z-axis there, or 20, to make it spawn just above where the other one was. So I am going to drag this out of the way a little bit and make some room, because this is where we're going to be working on our spawn weapon here. First thing I'm going to do is drag off weapon to spawn and get the class defaults, and then off of the weapon class enumeration that we've just created, I am going to switch on enum weapon class. The next thing I'm going to do is create a new variable, and I'm going to call it equip index of type integer. Okay, I'm going to set this off of both of these execution nodes here as 0 and 1. These are going to be the indices that we store our primary and our secondary weapons in our array variable here, current weapons. So by the way, you want to select current weapons here, and you want to add 2 indices here, index 0 and index 1, and just leave them blank. If you can't set this here, remember you have to compile before you can set the defaults of a variable. You have to compile. If you wanted to start your game with weapons, this is where you would fill these slots, or do it on event begin play, however you want to set it up. But we are going to start with no weapons, and then we're going to go and pick them up. So the very first thing that we want to do is check if we have a weapon in whatever slot we're picking up. So if we pick up a primary, we want to check if we already have a primary. So what I'm going to do is grab my current weapons variable and get a copy. And every time here in this logic that we reference an index here for this array, we are going to just plug in equip index, like so. So we're setting it here as 0 or 1, and then whatever it is, that's the slot that we're looking at. Okay. And what we can do off here is check if this class is a child of. Class is child of, and this is going to be our BP weapon master. So if the slot does contain a weapon that's a child of BP weapon master, then this is how we'll tell that we have a weapon in that slot. Okay, so I can make a branch off of this. Whoops. Branch, and I'm going to plug both of these execution nodes into here, like so. Okay, so if we do have a weapon in that slot, we then want to see if it's different to the one we're trying to pick up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is drag off of this get a copy and grab a not equal, and I'm checking if it's not equal to the weapon to spawn on the pickup here, and I'm just going to grab a reroute node and put this one along the bottom like so. And then off of here we can make a branch. This is going to come off the true here. So we're checking if they're equal. If they are the same, this will ring false. And what we're going to do off of false here is just print a string for now, saying same weapon. Okay. And if it's true, we want to go ahead and drop the weapon that we've got and pick up the new one. So what we can do is, off of this get a copy, we can get the class defaults, and then off of pickup class we can spawn actor from class, and this is going to come off of the true here. Okay. And the spawn, this is actually the node that we kept here, so I'm just going to delete that one. And the spawn transform is this one for me. I can just split this one, plug it into the location. You could also spawn it in front of your player. If you wanted to spawn it in front of your player, you don't have to do it this way. What you can do is get actor transform. I'm going to right click and split this, and I'm going to, off of rotation, get forward vector. I'm going to multiply this and right click here and change this to float single precision by how many centimeters in front of my player I want to spawn it. So let's say 40 centimeters, and then I'm going to add that to the location, plug that into location there, and I can also just plug rotation into rotation like so. So if you want to spawn the pickup in front of where your player is, this is how you do it. And this is how far in front of your player it will spawn. The next thing we want to do is set our equipped weapon as the weapon that we're picking up. So I'm going to grab this equipped weapon and pull it out here, and I'm going to set child actor class right here, and what I'm going to set it as is the weapon to spawn from the pickup here. So grab this, plug it in over here, make sure you keep everything neat and tidy so it's easy to follow. And now that this node is here, we can also plug in the false right here. So if we never had anything in the weapon slot to begin with, we don't need to spawn a pickup, we don't have anything to drop, we can grab this false and just plug it straight in over here, like so. Okay. The next thing we need to do is update our current weapons array with whatever weapon is in there. So we can grab our current weapons array right here, and we can set array element. Once again, we are setting it as the weapon to spawn, so we can plug this in here. And remember, whenever there's a reference to the index here, we can plug in our equip index. Nice. The next thing we can do is set our current weapon variable from our other session, because this object reference is very useful. So how we do that is, off of our current weapons array right here, we can get a copy of the equip index, and we can get actor of class. Plug this in right here, and then set current weapon as this actor of class. We can also grab off this get a copy and get the class defaults, and we're going to set current weapon int. We can drag off of weapon name and convert it to integer. Plug this in here, nice. And we also want to attach our new weapon to the appropriate socket. So as you can see here in my class defaults, I've got one called socket name, what I've actually done is I've gone into my weapon master and I've created a variable called socket name of type name, and then in each of my weapons in the class defaults I have named the socket that I want it to attach to, the socket that I've created in my character's skeleton. This is just an easier way of handling all this. It means that we don't have to have multiple attach to component nodes. We can just have one and plug in that socket name. So what we're going to do is grab our equipped weapon now and attach component to component. The parent will be your character's mesh, and socket name in here, and change all of these location rules from keep relative to snap to target. Snap to target, snap to target, snap to target, and weld simulated bodies is checked true. Nice. That should be all we need to do here, so we can test this out. If I go over and grab this weapon, very nice. Grab this one, see how it didn't spawn a pickup because that slot was empty. But if I grab a different weapon, it is spawning a pickup because that slot isn't empty, so it's dropping the other primary. And even though I can't switch weapons right now, I do actually have a primary and a secondary. I just don't have an input or logic to switch between them. But if I go over to a new secondary, it should drop my old primary, and it has, so on and so forth, like so. Very nice. That seems to be working very well indeed. Nice. There we go. Very good. Okay, let's implement the weapon switching logic. So I am just going to get one key and the 2 key. You'd want to set up an enhanced input, but I'm just going to use 1 and 2 for now. I'm not going to show you guys in this one how to do an enhanced input, but all of your inputs for gameplay should be set up with enhanced inputs. The first thing we're going to do is set equip index as 0 and 1. So 1 is going to change to our primary, which is in the index 0 on the array. 2 is going to switch to our secondary, which is in index 1 on our array. The next thing we want to do is check if we have a weapon in that slot, so we can grab our current weapons array, get a copy of the equip index, and check class is child of BP Weapon Master. Make a branch, plug both of these into here, and this is checking if we have anything in that slot. If we don't, what we can do is grab our equipped weapon. We can set child actor class as none. I'm not sure if I leave this blank, if it will actually switch to none. We can test this out. We would also want to change our current weapon int to 0 because we want our unarmed animations. Okay, if we do have something in the slot, the next thing we want to do is check if we're already holding it or not. So what we can do is grab our current weapons array. We can get a copy of the equip index and then check, is that not equal? To our equipped weapon, and then get child actor, and then get class of that child actor. Plug this in here, So we're checking if we already have that equipped. We're checking if what we're trying to switch to we already have equipped. So make a branch, plug this in here, and if we are already holding the weapon that we're trying to switch to, this will ring false. So what I can do is I'm just going to grab this print string right here, and I'm going to plug the false into that as well. Same weapon. You're trying to switch to the same weapon that you're already holding. If we are trying to switch to a different weapon, we can basically get all of the code from the end right here. So we can grab all of this, duplicate it down here, and the only difference is we're not going to be switching to the weapon to spawn on the pickup. We're going to be switching to whatever is in that slot. So we can just grab our current weapon, get a copy here, and also plug it into set array element and set child actor of class, like so, and everything else should be good to go. So, and the one thing we want to check is that if we swap to an empty slot, that it unequips everything. So let's try that out. If I grab this, and now, yep, it's disappearing. I haven't actually got animation set up on this character, but it is clearing it, so that's all we really need to know. And we are setting that current weapon int as well. So, and if we try to switch to one that we're already holding, should print string saying spawn weapon. Very good. That all seems to be working well. Alright guys, apologies for the stuff around with the the false starts with the errors in the uploads, but I do hope that this one turned out a little bit better than those ones. I think it has. I'm pretty happy with how this has come along. So alrighty, if this video has been of any use or value to you whatsoever, please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you on the next one.